Welcome to 5 Minute Game Reviews with me, Gardner, where I rant and rave about whatever game I just finished on stream last week. Today, we're going to be talking about It Takes Two by Hazelight Studios. It Takes Two is quite a simple game. Story about a family who is on the verge of divorce because the parents don't know how to communicate with each other. The daughter, feeling very neglected, wishes upon a book to make her parents become friends again. Little does she know that the book comes to life and absorbs the soul of the parent and sends them on an adventure to learn how to coexist with each other once again and find the missing spark in their marriage. From here, the world into a Pixar-like world where the hammer comes to life, plants want to kill you, talking frogs are sending you on a taxi ride. The abilities of this game are ever-changing. You only ever have two abilities in this game. You have a grappling hook that allows you to swing from place to place, and a grappling hook. The grappling hook allows you to also attach the rails of the game to send you flying in a different direction. You have your jump maneuvers, your double jumps. You're allowed to carry your other partner. No, you're not. Are you allowed to carry your other partner? I honestly can't remember. Oh, what's super cool about this game is every boss fight feels completely new. Though every boss fight does have its 2 to 3 step phases, the items that you get in this game, from a hammer to a literal sniper to exploding bombs to jetpacks, it fills out the combat in this game where it didn't feel repetitive at all at any different area. That goes for gameplay, that also goes for the different areas in this game, from, like I said, the garden, which felt completely different from the kids room, and even like the same type of areas where you might have a garden area, but this garden area is completely different from the garden area that you just experienced before. This feels like a fleshed out world, and I honestly could see myself running through this area as like a living doll. Nothing ever felt too out of this world. Even though there were some out of this world areas, nothing ever felt too unrealistic. It felt like this was a world where two dolls could physically get through with a little bit of space magic from a talking book with horrible puns and horrible dancing, and everything just feels a little bit too surreal. Let's talk about graphics. The graphics of this game, like I said before, is very Pixar with its 3D models. This game is absolutely beautiful. Not just sticking to one color palette, but taking on various different art styles. From a little girl's room with a toy castle with a bunch of stuffed animals and a lot of toys, to a garden where the plants want to kill you, where everything feels very real, even though it's very cartoonish. It feels like a place that I wouldn't mind spending a little bit of time in, with how cool the world seems, if, you know, we weren't on an adventure to fix our marriage. This world is just chocked full of so many little hidden details, where it feels like the more you look, the more you see, with its intricate little details to its interactive, I wouldn't say Easter eggs, but more push me buttons on toys. You want to touch and look and play with everything. Gameplay is pretty simple. I wouldn't say this is a hard game per se, but I would say that for more experienced players, it would come off to be a very easy game. This is a very chill game where you're not really here for like the hard times, and honestly you're not even here for the story, because the story is kind of meh. It's more of just like having fun with a friend in a co-op world where literally anything can just happen, and the world is just, it feels boundless, but it's very limited. It is a very on the rails game where you're forced into literally forced on rails to complete this game. The boss fights aren't too difficult, where I love the mechanic where as long as one person stays alive, the boss fight doesn't end. So it's not a complete wipe if you're playing with a person who is not too skilled at games. You guys could relatively get through it easy as long as you both know somewhat of what you're doing and at least one person doesn't die. This is a co-op split screen game, so as you're playing the game, you're always able to see what your friend is doing, which leads to very interesting gameplay where I don't really need to see what my friend is doing all the time, but it is very helpful in some levels where you're not really sure where they're stuck. So you don't even need to like be in voice comms to know where they're at. You can just look at their screen and be like, all right, cool. They're stuck over here. Let me go help them. You're allowed to do what you want as separate players, up until the point where you do need to come together and maybe complete a boss or complete a certain task. But for the most part, you two can just independently go and do basically what you want. Which means, as a player, you can just sit around and just watch your friend fail at everything. There was even a specific time where Evie and I were just playing, and as she just kept dying, I was just like, ripperonis, rips in peace. As you just watch your friend die over and over again. This game is pretty much bug-free, even though it's an EA title and it's a AAA game. I experienced little to no lag, little to no bugs, though there were quite a few frame drops, because this game is resource intensive, especially if you're streaming. But for the most part, I didn't really crash. The only time I ever crashed was when I was playing with a friend, and that friend couldn't load in a specific scene, so he had to completely reinstall the game. That was probably the only major bug that I've experienced with this game. Other than that, there wouldn't be any major game-breaking bug. It was pretty much seamless. Once we got started, it was just endless fun. Though there was one part, the pirate area, where I would call that a bug, even though I wasn't really affected by it too much. More of a quality assurance issue, where sometimes what would happen on screen wasn't actually where you were aiming at. So it took a lot longer to complete this area. It was the pirate ship area. This area, it was a little bit buggy, but with a little bit of maneuvering, we got through it, even though it was kind of annoying. The true meaning behind this story is to bring a family together. I honestly wouldn't say this is a very good story to base your relationship around, though I would say it does lead to a very interesting story, interesting gameplay. But for the most part, I would agree with one or two things. Cooperation and talking with your partner is very essential. And cooperation and talking with your partner is very essential in this game too. So I wouldn't recommend this for breaking cup for couples that are falling apart. But I would recommend this for people who have a stable relationship and who just wants to have a fun time. And this game is a very good bonding tool, especially for couples. I didn't really play with a couple. I played with my editor and a very good friend. But I would say that it's good for couples who just want to have a good time and not feel too stressed out. And if you are a boyfriend who is very pissed off at your girlfriend, stop. As a person who likes very hard games, sometimes I like a game where I can just chill out and have fun. And this game delivered on basically all of that. It was a very chill, relaxing game where you could sit down, have fun, not be too worried about the outcome, talk a bunch of nonsense with your friends or family or girlfriend or whoever you're playing with. Or maybe even like, I play this after like a hard day at work and I had enough time to play this, and I didn't feel stressed out afterwards. I just felt calm and relaxed. I can understand why this game did win an award at the Game Awards of 2021. It fits all good themes. Would I say this is a mandatory game to play? Not really. You could probably skip this one, especially if you have no friends. But if you do have a friend or a spouse or somebody, I would recommend it. It is a good game to play.